Hey, welcome everybody. Yeah, gonna teach again today, and today again is going to be about the coronavirus, Trump, and God. Uh, I'm going to try and help explain a little bit about the relationship that makes a big difference in the world. That if people take a relationship with God, and a lot of times a person has built up a relationship with hate for so long, God has no way of getting in. So you can be a Christian and you can be all kinds of things, but unless you actually do have a relationship with God, then you could be recruited into pretty dangerous scenarios. And there's a lot that goes on that we're not aware of that is part of really dark hate, really dark hate. If we look at Russia, we look at China, we look at other countries where there's communism and hate. If we look at Russia, you could see that for a long time, Russia has had a very strong process of conspiracy, thinking that everybody was out after them. Yeah, and they did a lot of really evil things, and those evil things are mainly ways in which they can take over other countries and manipulate the process of other people being able to take over other countries. So in other words, they would be the financiers of Iran. They would be the financiers of Pakistan. They would be the financiers of other countries that we think no one's, where are they getting their ammunition? Where are they getting all these rockets and everything? How are they getting financed? But this is where they're getting finance from. And they're getting finance from Arabia or other different locations, but a great deal of it is coming off from Russia or China. And it used to be North Korea, but they never really got into the development of weapons and things to create war. But China and Russia did. So they need money and they sell weapons. So, but they not only sell weapons, they recruit people as spies. Yeah, this has been going on a long time. Yeah, you may not be aware of it because it's just not something talked about that often. But maybe you watched the TV series The Americans. Yeah, and that was a true story, not based on actual people, their real names and all that, but the events that took place are true. Russian spies in America came here at a young age. Yeah, married another Russian spy. Yeah, then have children. And those children are Americans, and they have to cope with that. How do you then recruit your 16-year-old daughter and your 15-year-old son when they get to that age? And you're still a spy. You're going out killing people. You're going out stealing things. You're going out, getting into congressmen's houses, befriending people, befriending hippies, befriending the social system of the time, walking right into it and creating a communist effort. Communist what do you call that? When you do something in order to subvert, people. And so it is, if you know them and if you study it, you'll find that they have these policies. And the KGB, people of the KGB who are no longer with the KGB, they're very open in talking about that. So I've studied quite a bit, and I study the KGB. So I found out, that their real interest is not so much war, not so much the aggressive aspect of war. That happens when people are poor, and that happens when a country just simply won't give up, like the Ukraine or something like that. But when it comes down to America, how do you make them weaker? You can go in with spies, and you could wear all black. And you can be born an American, but your mother and father happen to be Russian spies. Or maybe you at 22 or 23 years old is also a Russian spy, and now you're 40 years old. Been living here, been a technician, got a job, all those normal things, but you're still a Russian spy. And trust me, Russian spies are a lot. There's a lot of Russian spies. There's a lot of Chinese spies. There's a lot of North Korean spies. Yeah, they exist. We have spies. Yeah, but you got to think about this. You know, when we're dealing with riots and we have groups of people come and start beating out windows and start beating up people, and they all wear black, and there's something very strange, worse than strange, about them. They're so filled with hate. They're not Americans. They hate America. They're here to destroy America. And we let them in. You know, we really don't have that much control over immigration. No one's talking about Russian spies. Yeah, but they exist. We talked about them a lot during the Hitler period. Yeah, because they existed. Yeah, and we talked about it a lot during the Cold War because they existed. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who were recruited in the CIA to counteract this problem. Yeah, so they do exist. Yeah. But their job isn't war, isn't military might, isn't that aggressive nature. It's the ability to create chaos and slow down social order. Yeah, create chaos. Yeah, so they're going to obstruct justice. They're going to obstruct who it is we think we should vote for. They're going to obstruct. They're going to make everybody think, you know, that everything is as we think it is. Yeah. All Black Lives Matter. Yeah, they focus upon things that we want to change. Yeah, and then they use those as banners. Yeah, and they're not real banners. Yeah, and those banners are there to enhance hate. Yeah, and at the same time, you see these people dressed in black and everything, and they have right on the side of their arms, they have Russian symbols. Yeah, you know, the sickle and the hammer? That's a Russian symbol. You know, are you noticing it? Because they're there on every one of them. Yeah. They quite often have them on their helmets. They have them on here. They have them here. They have them somewhere on them. Yeah. Watch the news. Check out YouTube. Yeah. And you'll see it. You know? So in reality, we have an obstruction of justice and a creation of anarchy, inside of the United States. Yeah? And no one is talking about it. Just me. And yet it really is our biggest problem. Yeah? Well, how did Russia affect the election last time? Yeah. And we found out, well, they sure tried. They did so many things. They did internet, they did tweet, they did Facebook, they used Facebook, they advertised through Facebook, they made it look like it was paid for by democracy, by Democrats or by Republicans or by this particular group or that group. But in reality, it was paid for by Russians, made by Russians. Yeah. And we know this. Yeah. So people are being influenced, but their biggest thing, you go to Russia and they have Orthodox Russian Christian, yeah. And I don't know what the heck that is, but it is, and people really believe in it, yeah. But when you talk to the Russian, they're atheists, yeah. They don't really have that sense of reality when it comes down to God. Yeah, they're just religious when it comes down to like being a Catholic or being a Christian of some kind. But you're still under the order, an influence, a psychic influence that's involved in the hate and the propaganda against other countries. Yeah, so they don't think anything really good about America. And if they do, it is something that's through propaganda, it's instilled in them so that they will think it. So right now, Trump is big, Trump pizza, Trump hamburgers, Trump, when you go to a menu in Russia, you'll find things that says Trump. Trump likes this, yay Trump, and it's bullshit. Yeah. They're not really into Trump. They're not into anything. It's just part of a propaganda process, and they're not in charge of anything. It's just something that's happening around them. Yeah. Yeah. So if we go over there, we think, wow, they really wanted Trump to be president. And they don't give a shit who's president. They do not care. Yeah. The main thing is to influence our system. Yeah. In any negative way they possibly can. And that's mainly through social disorder. Yeah. Through rioting, through getting people to join communist groups, be influenced by being really angry against things, and they're the centerpiece. They're the center people. They'll come out and say, we're against all you fascists, or we're against all you Nazis, or we're against all you people who are against gay people, or we're against all you people, they're just using the influence of what we're in, what we're about, what we're going through. And they're making it look like we're against it, like we're against black people. And we're not. We're like, we're against gay people. Look around, there's more tolerance to gay people than any place, So these processes that come out are instigated. Yeah. And they are making social and public impressions that don't exist. Now, I showed last time that everybody thinks that there is, like, women think that there's nearly 30% of all people are gay. And men think that 18 to 20% of all people are gay. But then you find out, after statistics and checking everything out, there's no more than 4% of the people of the United States are gay. And there's, whether it's 4 or 80 or what, but the truth is the truth. Why pump it up, to a whole 20 to 30%? That's insanity. It's insanity. And it's because of public opinion, public propaganda. The whole process is propaganda. Yeah. So the key thing to these people is that they're anti-God. That's going to be the end process. That's the end goal, is get rid of God. Because it's really important to them, really important. You'll find out later just how important that really is, because when you have so much hate, when God comes into the picture, you become violently angry at a preacher or anybody saying Jesus Christ or anybody saying you need to be saved. It just comes out of you as a reaction, because it's being instilled in you as a protester. You're protesting against who knows what. Things that really need no protest whatsoever. I mean, we're a really fine running country. There's no reason for us to be having any protest. Not one. Sure, a cop beats up somebody. Okay, let's get them in trouble. Let's get out our phones. Let's put it on YouTube. Let's get the attorney in there. Let's get it to the county. Let's make a difference. That's not a protest. That's what we have available today. We have public opinion. And once the chief sees that video, the chief goes, holy shit, bring that guy in here. But when it's hearsay and it's complaint, it's propaganda again. Nobody wants to deal with propaganda, because then you're harming people unjustly. But you could do something about the truth when people really are unjustly harming people, and they should be dealt with correctly. But, under propaganda, we can't do that. So that's our process, that we have a lot of this going on, and it is affecting, our way of reacting, our way of dealing with things. But our inner nature is so much different. Our inner nature worships God. Worships God. I mean, worships God. I'm going to show you a video of a little baby who worships God. Now, how much time do you have with a 1-year-old child to give it the consciousness of God and the ability to worship God by the time they're 1 year old? All on their own. They do it all on their own. Check this out.
that's just the way it is. You are not a God created by human hands. You are not a God dependent on any mortal man.
Pretty cool. Pretty natural. Yeah. Much more natural than you know anybody's considering. You know, we have all this process. Churches tell you you're born evil. You know, churches tell you that you're born of sin. You know, churches tell you this and that. You know, it's propaganda. You know, it's part and parcel of an atheist talking to you, an agnostic talking to you, who's trying to believe in God. You know, it just super sucks, and that's your dilemma. That's what you got. You know, you got these evangelists up there with their golden chairs and all their processes and their, you know, their golden cars and, you know, their super duper mansions and their jets and everything, you know. And they're having to act and behave and say things that make you think that they're religious. Oh, God Almighty, you know, those stupid gestures and characteristics that what you need to hear, because it's a part of propaganda. Yeah, if you're not in a place to where, you know, you want nature, you want natural God, you want real God, you want the natural side of this thing, you know, and it exists, but we're at an evolutionary point where we're coming out of a whole bunch of cults. Yeah, we're coming out. We have most of Hollywood is Scientology. You know, and how can I help you? You know, how is that possible? You watch TV, you watch movies. Thank God there's not going to be any movies or any TV coming out for the next year and a half. There'll still be there reruns and bullshit if you want to watch it. You know, but it's just more propaganda. Yeah, and it's about no God. No God. It's about Lucifer. That's one of the TV channels you get to watch, Lucifer. Yeah. Or how about Supernatural? You know, you get to talk to everybody. You get to talk to Lucifer, Arhaman, Azazel. Every fallen angel gets to be named, identified, and you get to watch it on TV. Yeah. I think it's had 11 or 12 seasons. It's really doing well. People are watching it all the time. Yeah. Then you got The Walking Dead and people who eat people. Yeah. So on and on and on. One movie after another, The Walking Dead, you know, cannibals and the killers and the maimers and the robbers and the stealers and the, you know, the rip-off artists, you know, and the fast-driving cars and, you know, all the things that are in movies. Why are you going to that? What is it that makes you go to such a shit? You know? Are you a gladiator to where you have to go to a gladiator game to watch people hit heads together and see somebody fall down, be carried off, and you're feeling, oh, we're winning, we're the most powerful group. You know? You're being programmed. You know, to hate. The act of violence, you know, the act of violence, to worship the act of violence, to worship hate, to worship aggression. Yeah. I can prove it to you. Just turn your TV on and see which one thing you're going to watch. And you're going to be there, you know, whether it be NASCAR or basketball or baseball, you know, it's just competition. One guy's beating the shit out of another guy, and it's all ego-bearing. There's no God in that part. It's atheist. Yeah? And they may want God. They may go to church. They may be good people. They may pray. But they are doing the wrong thing. Yeah? They're serving propaganda. They've been sold. They've been bought. You know, TV, the one with... who's that guy that's in Scientology that's really famous? Tom Tom Cruise, yeah. He did a movie with Cuba Gooding, yeah, where they did this thing on football. Where's the money? Where's the money? Yeah, or you should watch The Rock, and the TV program that he put out, about football. I believe that's the most honest thing I've seen in years. I love that guy. He's not a crazy man. He's not going out doing voodoo witch doctor movies, and he's not going out doing killer movies. He's doing funny movies. He's hilarious, He's doing shit that makes sense, It's fun. It's entertaining. Yeah. But it's very different, Then you got a whole bunch of other people that have absolutely no character ability to choose what they're going to do and how they're going to live their life. And this guy gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning, takes a long run, then eats about an animal and a half, and works his ass out really hard, and then goes back out and runs again, then goes to work. And you see him on everything, doing everything. Yeah. And that is a very service-oriented person. But most of everybody else you see in the same industry, they're so, I'm only going to do it, I'll do anything you want for the buck. They're well known for it. Tom is, he does Mission Impossible and vampire movies and, Mars movies and hell movies and you name it. There's no real control there as to what's going on. Because we're in the middle of people using us, people using them in order to create an illusion. Just like the people dressed up in black, walking amongst other people, breaking windows and starting fires. And yet all the other people are peaceful. And you should be able to get onto the TV and watch a movie and not be subjected to people eating people and people pulling out a gun and shooting people and thinking that's the right thing to do. There's so many things to talk about in movies. There's so many things, so many wonderful adventures, so many God adventures, so many lives of God, so many incarnations of God. You would never get over it, It's so big, it's so much to talk about and make movies on, yeah. But we really can't because we've covered up so much over time. Anthropologists, archaeologists, they get rid of it if it doesn't go along with their pagan or their anti-God belief system. So they get rid of the giants, so that we can't say the Bible's correct that there were giants. We can't say that. No, there's never been giants, but there were giants. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to write about? The real truth. And how we've gotten smaller, and more divine in our characteristics and quality and our humility. We could show movies, wonderful movies of us beating down evil, demonic giants. True stories. Beating down animals, the mammoth and others, the tiger, which is right here in Northern California, all over. If you were running around, you'd have a saber-toothed tiger looking for you at night. Not a good thing. So we lived a life that is really worth writing about and seeing movies about that have truth in it. And you can, through everything that we witnessed, those people believed in God. They had God experiences. They had visions. They had impressions, very much like Native Americans, very much like other Aboriginals, And if we had that in our movies, rather than this apocalypse bullshit that we're all going to be croaked out, dead, driving old, dilapidated Jeeps, running through the desert, screaming at people, stealing their children. That really? I don't think so. It's not right. It's not where we're going to go. It's not where we've ever really been. There's no reason why we should be turning out like that. But under propaganda, and if you watch enough of this shit, you're going to be a prepper. And the head of Russia is going to be a prepper, and he's going to make as many nukes as he can because he's a prepper. He's watching these dirty old stupid movies too. Yeah. It's all propaganda. We need God. We need God. We need the truth. Yeah. We need to unveil the truth, not as, a conspiracy, unveiling a truth of us being ripped off or stolen or all the terrible things that go on, but unveil the truth and help us out in our daily life. Like right now, we're going through a deal to where there are masses, millions and millions and millions, say 40 million people will be out of their rental apartments and houses over the next 5 months. 40 million people. That's a heck of a lot of people. What are they going to do? Are they going to jump in their luxury car, and go live on the side of the road somewhere? And do that on the day that they've been kicked out because they didn't pray, they didn't, think, what is going to happen? I better stay calm. I better really look to see what can I do. If this comes down, I don't have a house, I don't have an apartment. What can I do? Yeah. And there's a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of people who are considering what they should do under these conditions. Yeah. Masses numbers of RVs are selling like crazy right now. Over the last 2 months, they've sold 200 in 2 months in one dealership. 200 RVs. That's major record. Yeah. It's not because we're going into an apocalypse. We're not running off to the desert, and go steal babies. It's not what's going on. These are commonsensical people making a good decision. And they've got a kitchen here, and they've got a nice stove over there, and they've got a toilet right here, and they've got a vehicle they can drive and get to where they need to go, and they can boondock, which means that they can live off the land. Yeah. And things today and these RVs are set that way, so it's very, very safe, very, very happy. And you find after you've done it for a month, you are happier than you've ever been in your life. And it's not your propaganda bullshit. Oh no, I'm homeless. Oh no, I'm so sad. Oh no, I don't have money. Oh no, I don't have job. Oh no. All these things you can think in your mind. Yeah. But in reality, when you get out there, and the sun goes over you and you wake up in the morning and there's forest out there, and you're going, geez, this isn't so bad. I got nothing to do. I think I'll take a walk. You go take a walk, come back, make breakfast, get cleaned up a bit, hang out, go on YouTube, check things out, maybe write about what you're doing, share that. 2 months later, you start getting checks in the mail. Because people love to sponsor people. That's what we do. Yeah, patrons, all kinds of things. And we're not taking anything for doing nothing. Yeah, we're sharing. And we're caring about other people. And that's worth it. $5 here, $1 there, 10,000 people, that adds up. Yeah. So all of a sudden, your world has completely changed. My credit card always has money in it. It's like, what? I have no boss, no asshole, and my diet is better than it's ever been. I'm healthier than I've ever been. Yeah. And I'm having a great time. And I'm actually meeting all the people that I'm seeing rather than living in a house and not knowing the neighbor or anybody anywhere. Yeah. These are true things. These are the common things. Just look into it. Look into people who travel in RVs, people who spontaneously, 70 years old, spontaneously got into their car, made a bed, had a life. Let me show you one. This is what happened to these people.
manager Jared Schwartz and his wife Kim have been working, living, and educating their 8-year-old son Tyler in a small Manhattan apartment during stay-at-home orders about 3 months now, prompting them to ask why pay so much for so little.
We don't necessarily want to escape New York City, but yes, moving on and looking to get somewhere where we can carry on with a more normal lifestyle.
The Schwartzes are not alone. Moves out of New York City to Connecticut, for example, have more than doubled since April. And a new national survey by Zillow found 2/3 of people would consider moving if their jobs let them telework from home as often as they liked. The Schwartzes have that flexibility, so they're packing up and moving to suburban Nashville, buying their new house without ever having seen it in person.
You've seen it through FaceTime and you have a trustworthy realtor, but it's a gamble in more ways than one, right?
It is absolutely the most stressful part of all of this. It's having not actually seen it in person. So you get a lot of inspections and hope it's in working order.
It's a good time to move, with mortgage rates hitting an all-time low, making buying more affordable. The bottom line is about the cost of living. The median home price in the New York and New Jersey area is $424,000. Around Nashville, $275,000. And realtor Mabel Guzman says when you're living and working in your house, extra space matters even more.
Home has really taken on a whole new meaning. So when we look at the way people are using it today, it's become your gym, your office, your schoolroom, your restaurant. It's really become a significant part of who we are.
So that's what I've been trying to explain. Minimalism. Let's say your kid has to go to school. Well, what about homeschooling? There's computer homeschooling, there's classes, all kinds of things. But what if you have to go to work? But what if that didn't happen? What if you had the same thing? Your work was done online and you did all your service in that way. You may not today, but if you focus and are creative, you'll find that you could do this. And you have a husband and a wife, and both of them can transfer their time and energy to that. And these people have a house that they're paying like $500,000 for, and that's like $4,000 or $5,000 a month that they're putting on this house, and now they're going to move away to a $275,000 house, which would be about $200,000 or $2,000 a month, considerably less. And they're also not driving to work, and they're not doing all these things. They're minimalizing, They're finding that, we cook now, so we need a good kitchen, and we need space to work out because we work out now, so we do it at home, and we need a good space for us to help educate our kid, and we need our office space, and that doesn't require too big of a house, and it can be done easily in the suburbs, or even in the mountains, because you don't have to be any particular location near a city. These are the things that people, in their conscious mind, without the propaganda, of, we're all dying and this is all going to turn out to be a terrible outcome. Each person has to make their decision as to what their outcome's going to be, And we have so many options, Here we have, and all these people are people with money. These are people who have ongoing jobs, people who are still being supported in some way, or they have a home, they sell the home, and then they can move in to a lesser expensive home, and that could keep them going. And then there's people that just say, what about getting out of that and not paying $275,000, but how about paying $100,000 for my home, and have it be an RV?
Between sky-high housing prices in the Bay Area and COVID-19 wanderlust, people are opting for homes on wheels. In fact, just as the pandemic hit the Bay Area, San Francisco native Mike Jennings sold his condo in the Mission and hit the road.
With the COVID-19 occurring and a lot of people working from home now, it does cause a lot more people to say, why am I staying in the expensive Bay Area? Or why am I staying in this crowded city, wherever it is in the country? And moving into an RV allows you to do that. You can wake up and have a different view every day. You don't have the incredibly high cost of living. Just getting out of the craziness with the traffic and exploring nature, being in the trees or being close to water. That's just the best part of it right there. And there's a lot of work. There's things that break down. There's problems that happen on the road. It's an adventure, we like to say. But it's been one that's been very worthwhile so far.
Now, RV life isn't just about travel. Many have opted to homes on wheels out of necessity, and they park them along city streets across the Bay Area. According to the 2019 Santa Clara County Homeless Census, the number of individuals staying in vehicles has increased 146% since 2015, reaching 3,655 individuals in 2019.
18% of those surveyed in the homeless population reported living in vehicles, cars, RVs, which was an increase from previous years. We're helping people find housing and remain stably housed more than ever. However, more people are entering our system, becoming homeless for the first time. So we know those economic.
Yep. So that's the reason why I'm pointing this out, because people, they've never been evicted before. A lot of these people never been evicted before, and it's a shock to them, and many of them, if they're young, they're going to go back to their parents' house. It's a big thing that took place in March and April. But now there's people who are with family, and older, and they have apartments and houses, and they're losing them. And they don't, there's not a lot of subject matter as to what do you do, do you get yourself a backpack, and jump in the back seat of your car and try and sleep and make your day, or what do you do? So I'm going to give a few ideas. There's a number of things that people could do. You could do in cars and you can do in vans. Here's one that is in Germany and England, especially in Germany and European countries. They have a lot of camping that goes on, and they make things for trucks and for vans and things like that are kits that you could just put in that are your entire kitchen and your bed, and just pops into the back of a vehicle. And so you buy it for that vehicle. And all those things could be bought and brought over here, or built over here. And I'm thinking this is a whole other industry for a lot of people to get into and go on YouTube and start making a living. Because this is really big, and this is what this is. Now, this is just a box, and all those are slide outs. Has a refrigerator, a cooking stove, a sink. This is in the back of a little van, a little minivan.
And the price for complete equipment now, how it looks like now, how much is it?
And on top of it, there are 3 cushions, and those cushions go out to boards that are slatted out to the front seats. So those cushions lay out into a bed. So you literally have a bed and a kitchen. And this is for $3,000. You can survive nicely. This is not homelessness. Although one might be out without a home. But the key thing is we are in a time where there's enormous amount of options. And how we take care of this circumstance, this situation, is dependent on whether or not we're prepared. Not about prepping, it's about, our true situation, where it's really at, and then have an open mind. to know that all of this is taken care of. Because you just don't know this. You don't know that these kind of things have been in the industry, moving in the industry over the last 3 or 4 years for a reason. Yeah? For helping humanity. For times when people do become homeless, when people want to begin living in a tiny house, when people want to begin living in mobile RVs and live out the first 20 or 30 years of your life doing that sort of thing, enjoying the heck out of yourself, traveling, and live out the last 20 or 30 years of your life doing that sort of thing. To me, that's very natural. Yeah. And, so here's a lady that became homeless over this virus situation, and she needed to do something about it. So here's what she did.
Dodge Grand Caravan minivan, and this is my new friend Joanne here. She's got a really nice rig, and the great thing about this rig in particular is that it's basically no build. It's all things that you've acquired and
you can take it out as easy as I put it in.
Yeah, things that anyone can buy and just stick in their minivan and have an adventure rig ready to go. So we're gonna have Joanne hold the camera for me while I give you guys a tour. So here we are on the inside. You can see she's basically put different pieces of furniture around the inside here. And let's start off with the bed platform. So this platform is a set of industrial shelving from Home Depot. And so there are, you can see 2 shelves here, and there are another 2 shelves in the back, forming the back half of the bed platform. And she's got some storage under here. Looks like she's got clothes and tools. And then back here, a little bit more, she's got some food, some dry goods. On top of the uppermost shelf here, she's got a yoga mat and then a 3-inch foam mattress from Amazon. She's used a serrated knife, like a bread knife, to cut to make it the right width here. And then let's go over to this. This is a little bench that is used for sitting on, taking your shoes off, sticking things underneath. It's made for a house. It's something you can buy from Amazon. And we've got some cooking gear here, some shoes on this side, and then in this middle one here, so there are 3 compartments, 3 drawers here. And in this middle one, there's a Jackery 240, which is a small battery unit, a solar generator is what they're called. And so she can charge that at home and then bring it on the trips, or use the cigarette lighter to charge it up while she's driving.
So these are the options, that people are going to have to take. This isn't going to go away. The government's not going to give us, money to go back into a house once we've been evicted, and, unemployment insurance is over with. That only lasts so long, and you've already been through that phase of it, So it's really difficult. And here we are in a world to where we have Wi-Fi, we have cellular activity, we have computers on a phone, we can use an iPad or a regular laptop, we can plug that into our car, we can, if we get calm, just get calm and realize minimalizing is not a bad outcome. It's not like you're the worst person, you didn't achieve anything or anything like that. Being able to reach minimalization rather than going crazy, but reach it and then go through it, and just deal with it on a day-to-day basis. Make it better, cope with it better, and get online, be creative, allow yourself to become fortunate, allow yourself to receive fortunate blessings from other people, allow people to say, what a wonderful thing you shared, and, what else did you do, and keeping you alive, keeping you in not a competitive state at all, but a very open and complementary state. And at the same time, because we have YouTube and we have other means, you just say, just click that button, would you? And would you click this button? And if you'll sign up as a patron for just $2 or $5, that really supports me doing what I'm doing. Yeah, and you can go on. You start learning crafts. You start learning anything you're creative with, and you start sharing that with people. You'll find that that is the most best way for you to make a general income in a modest way. Yeah, because you will get what you're supposed to get. Yeah, not a whole lot more, but you'll get what you're supposed to get. Yeah, and you'll be able to do what you need to do. Yeah, and you won't be in a devastating scenario. You'll have fresh, clean water. You'll have fresh air. You'll be able to eat good food. Yeah, you don't have to eat out of a can. You don't have to eat freeze-dried food because you're in an apocalypse. It's nothing like that. Yeah, and it's not like a bad camping trip. Yeah, you're in a mobile home-like situation. Yeah, so it really is uplifting. Once you realize your situation, if you can move into a tiny home, you know, for $45,000 and move into that, and you have a way to pull that off, do it, because you'll be minimal. You will not be paying any mortgage. You'll be solar set up. Your water will be there. It's just like camping, except you got a house, and it costs you $45,000. Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, you could buy a house on Amazon for $25,000. And spend a whole week building it. Yeah, you know, might not come out right, but at least it's a house. Yeah, you know, I mean, all these options are there. Buy a freaking house for $25,000. You know, come on. And one of these vans only costs $6,000. Yeah, a Dodge Caravan or a Chrysler. Yeah, you get one of those, and they get up to 200,000 miles. In some of these. Yeah, so you can buy an old one, you know, take all the seats out, clean it up, set it up, and be proud of yourself. Yeah, and not be in the situation of, oh, I'm out of the house, they locked me out, all my stuff is still in the house, I'm in state of chaos, I hate everybody. I hate everybody. Yeah, because you're in shock. This is all cultural shock. Yeah, and I'm just trying to help people move through this cultural shock, because we are in not a good situation. We have spies going on in our public, and they're creating havoc and hostility. And if you don't know that that's what's going on, then you're going to think other things, and people are going to tell you other things, like they're a terrorist group or something. Tell them the truth. They're freaking communist spies. Yeah, they're communists. It says it right there. Yeah, yeah. So being able to understand and deal with this is primary. So then there's showed you that one. Already showed you that one. And there's our dear Trump. We have people losing their homes, and we need more low-income homes. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but he's a real estate agent, so his old mind is going, I'm going to get rid of these poor people, get rid of low-income homes, and make sure all of you rich people are able to keep the balance on your home, and it keeps going up. Yeah, I'll just make sure low-income people don't move in. And that means Mexicans, blacks, people, yeah, who are low income. Yeah, that's exactly what he's talking about. And this is what he did. Oh, a great thing to do, huh? Good timing, yeah? And what his outcome is that we're going to build more of these brick tall buildings for the poor that we have always done, according to his father, because he's the one who built those buildings. Old man Trump built buildings for the poor, and he wouldn't let any black people move in. Yeah? Even though he built slums. Yeah? And then as time went on, that's where they turned out to be. Because he was dead and he didn't control who lived there or what it was going on. And those quality of buildings went down and they turned in to be low-income buildings. Yeah. And not under their control. Their whole thing was to do exactly what he said. I'm going to make sure that all these buildings stay at the highest level and we won't allow low-income people in. And that way you will continue paying high levels of rent or mortgage payment, which comes into his pocket. Yeah, he's not at all interested in people. He's interested in the outcome of his pocket. He will no longer be president soon, and he's going back to being a real estate agent. So he's got to make sure that laws are set so that he can go back and build suburbia and build large buildings and do all the things he normally does and make gazillions of dollars through the process of the fact that people have moved out and need new homes. Yeah, to him, he's just going dollar signs, dollar signs. So now he doesn't want us, because he's going to lose, he's freaking out. And for the first time, a president in any time since even at the Civil War, we voted on time. Yeah, and no time have we ever not voted on time. Yeah, through all the wars we've been through, we vote on time. Yeah, even during the Spanish plague, we voted on time. We still voted on time. Yeah. But for the first time, this guy's saying, even though our technology is what it is, all the advancement it is what it is, we've been doing mail-in for the last 15 years, never had a problem with it. But according to this guy,
after suggesting possibly delaying the election, the president, without evidence, now suggesting the results could be, quote, rigged. Here's ABC's senior national correspondent, Terry Moran.
At the White House today, President Trump behind in the polls and seeming more and more frustrated about it, making an apocalyptic prediction.
This is going to be the greatest election disaster in history.
After his idea of delaying the election was immediately shot down by Republicans and Democrats alike, Trump now claims because of mail-in voting, the results may never be known.
It'll be fixed, it'll be rigged, it'll go on forever.
The Postal Service expects a huge surge in mail-in ballots, a huge challenge. Postal worker leaders say if they have sufficient resources, Americans can trust them to do the job.
They have to insist that the mail's not slowed down, and that those ballots are going to move timely and quickly.
But just this month, new Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who's a major Trump donor, ordered big cuts in postal services in the name of efficiency. And there are now backlogs at post offices and concerns that politics is behind the move. Former President Obama highlighting the issue in his eulogy for Congressman John Lewis yesterday.
There are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick.
yeah, and then there's layoffs.
Example, the retail and service industries. But now, the legal field, sales, even healthcare workers that do not assist with COVID-19 patients are also seeing layoffs. Research from Oxford Economics predicts that positions in ambulatory healthcare and professional and business services will be among the top 5 declines for April job losses. Economist Martha Gimbel says that few jobs are safe.
In a staggering loss of life. July was particularly deadly. More than 1,000 deaths on 11 out of the 31 days last month. Tonight, nearly 154,000 lives have been lost, and the CDC now estimates that number could rise to 182,000 in the next 3 weeks. Take a look at the map. Deaths are rising in 35 states and Puerto Rico. California reporting a record 219 deaths and more than 500,000 cases, the first state to reach that mark. And Florida reporting more than 9,000 new cases again today as it braces for that tropical threat. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, those staggering numbers in California, now the first state with 500,000 confirmed cases, the same day it recorded its highest death toll so far, 219 more lives lost.
If we don't get serious.
Okay, that's a lot of people dying, yeah? And one of the things that we have that's experienced a lot through the rioting is the process of these people who are wearing all black and their activities. Yeah, and there was a process where a preacher went and started preaching. Yeah, and he was way down the street, and he started just preaching, and everybody got really upset at him. You know, saying, "Go away, get out of here, get out of my face. You know, we don't want you here." You know, and then the people in black with their umbrellas and everything come running down the street to get this guy and harass him and throw water on him and put their faces right up to him and all this, and this is what happened.
In Seattle, Washington weren't interested in the gospel message. Watch how they harassed one street preacher until someone stepped in.
If you want the world to be a better place, start with yourself. Give your life to Jesus. Give your life to Jesus. You can preach the gospel to more people. You are not with us. Don't you talk to them. Please leave us alone. Please leave us alone. Please leave us alone. I have me one more time. I'll walk freely. Follow us. I'm not even. You're following me. You don't stand with us. We do not stand with you. Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. The only way you can get to heaven is through His shed blood. Through His shed blood. You need Jesus. Jesus said, unless a man is born again, he shall not see the kingdom of God.
Go away. What's your objective here? Huh? I'm wondering what your objective is here.
Our objective is to honor the purpose of being here. And what he's doing is interfering.
You mean like the First Amendment right to protest? Is that what you're talking about?
He who tries to save his
life. Is that what you mean?
I'll tell you what. You tell me what church you're from.
I don't live here. I don't even live in this country. Well, I'm just wondering if is that what you're talking about?
Take care of you guys.
So what is that? What the First Amendment does? It gives you the right to tell him what to do, or does it give you the right to say what you want to say? Just wondering. I just wonder if you can explain it to me. That's all.
CBN contributor Chuck Holton shot that video, and that's his voice you hear confronting that disrupted protester. And Chuck joins us now. Chuck, what can you tell us about this incident? Why were they harassing the street preacher?
Well, this is in the former Chop Chaz area downtown Seattle. And so it's not a friendly place for Christians anyway. That's kind of like the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. It's where all the gay bars are and everything like that. But there was a protest going on at that time, and this guy was on a side street. He had nothing to do with the protests, but he was just walking up and down this pedestrian street and preaching. And the interesting thing is, you heard that girl saying, "Please leave us alone, please leave us alone." But they came from the protest and walked down that street to find that preacher and start harassing him. He had already been harassed quite a bit. You could see that his back was all wet. They had dumped a drink over him and things like that before I started filming. So they sought him out.
It's amazing. Yeah. And there's a lot, I mean, they do this, they get right up into your face, and that's mainly to make a point, you know, to have it affect the, what I call the etheric field, yeah, this blessed planet. You know, every object has the ability to receive a blessing and radiate light. Everything, water, trees, people, sidewalks, everything, yeah? But if you're filled with hate and all your job is to fill everything else up with hate, then you have to express words of anger. You have to say, shut up, don't say anything, I don't want to hear what you got to say, all these kind of things, just in order to mark the person, to mark the space, to mark Seattle as a hateful place. And then we look back over the last month, and we're the two most hateful places was Seattle and Portland. And this is where these people come from. I know, I was in the military back in the 70s, and I was living in Portland. I lived in Portland area and went up there and stayed there for about a week or two. And one of my friends asked me if I wanted to go to a group meeting with a bunch of people. Yeah. And I go to this meeting and they're communist. It's a communist group, and they're all looking so, smarter than other people, they just, very, very chauvinistic, and very, very, judgmental, very aggressive, yeah. And I no one said communist before I got there. No one mentioned anything. I thought we were going to go and, just have a good time. That's usually what happens, So, but when I got there, after about 15 minutes, they passed around a piece of paper stating you had to sign this so that you know that you're in a communist group right now, and that anything that's said in this group, you can't say or tell anybody, that you have to start lying from this point on. You have to lie. Yeah, and anything we say, you must lie about if they ask you. So from here on out, you got to lie, And I go, well, I'm not signing that, and then I'm thinking, well, now somebody's going to follow me out of here and try and beat the crap out of me or something, or there's going to be federal agents outside taking my name and number and my car, everything, It's not a very good thing. You don't want to get in to something like that, and they do exist. I actually walked into one, yeah. So they're very easy to walk into. I went through my whole life as a young man going from one homosexual pervert to another, trying to molest me. One after another. I couldn't park in a park. I couldn't play baseball. I couldn't do anything without some guy. I couldn't sit in a bus station without an old man wanting to take me home. Yeah? That happens all the time. And you can't think, oh, it's me, I put out a vibe or some shit, because I don't care who you are. If you're 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 14, if you're weak and you're in that situation, these perverts are out there, and every single one of them was gay. It wasn't that they were a pedophile or something like that. They were blatantly gay, and they wanted sex, and that sex had to be, since they're going to do something perverted, they wanted to do it with someone who was young. Yeah. And that, imagine, that is happening to so many people. It happens with you and your preacher, happens with you and your scoutmaster, it happens with, all over. And I had it happen to me. I had it happen to me when I went to a Boy Scout thing. Two scoutmasters, they put me in the front seat of the car, and they're going to drive me with a bunch of other people to go camping. And as we're driving down the road, they start touching me. And I'm freaking out. I'm just freaking out. And then I get sick. And I start to throw up. And I threw up over both of them. I threw up a lot. I guess I had a good dinner or something, because it was just not stopping. And I felt so bad, because there was no way for me to say, you tried to do something, or anything like that, because I was just reacting every time they touched me. I get so sick. I thought that was funny later on, because my brother had been molested. Yeah, my other brother had been molested. Yeah, I don't know of anybody in my life who hasn't gone through this. Yeah, but yet it's not talked about. I don't know of guys, when I went through my life, guys don't talk about it, but I talk about it. I'd bring it up with people. Do you ever have guys try and molest you? Don't say yes. It's not all right. Even if they dress like girls, it's not all right. Because that happened to me too. I'm get picked up. I'm going hitchhiking of all things. I'm hitchhiking across the United States, and over 30 times I have people trying to molest me. And two times, it was guys dressed up as girls, sitting in the front seat, just going on and on and on, on how they needed and everything, and I'm just going, you're both guys, and I just humiliating them, and I figured they'd get angry and let me out, and slowly but surely they did, let me out in the middle of the freaking desert, and another really bad pervert let me out in the middle of Arizona and Phoenix just before I got to snow. And it was really bad, and standing out in the middle of the snow. And just because these stupid homosexuals are there doing what they're doing, then they treat you so badly, when you say no. They'll leave you in the middle of nowhere. They could have driven another 2 more miles and I would have been at a gas station, But instead, they're mean, and they drop you off in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, I had it, truck drivers, people everywhere, So it's happening all over the place. Yeah, you just have no idea. And I think it happens more to boys than it does to girls. Yeah, I think that it happens to girls, but girls take it as an insinuation of flirting. But guys, to guys, this is not a flirting thing. It's downright perverted. It's very off. Yeah, and it's aggressive. Yeah, so there's a whole lot that we need to take in consideration, that this world, this whole system is not the way we see it. Yeah. And there are people suffering, in this situation that are suffering from these people, and no one really is saying much about it. The people who have been attacked, the people who have not been caught, all of that is going on. Yeah. So imagine we have these communists, and they want to do PR that becomes propaganda, and they're anti-God. So this is one of their nice PR anti-God propaganda things. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it.
New York City, where an atheist group has bought time on 3 enormous electronic billboards, and their question is, who needs Christ during Christmas? And their answer is, nobody. It's a pretty controversial message for the holiday season. I'm going to go...
Not 1 billboard, 3, and along New York walk, And, I don't know if you've ever studied psychology, but people have a tendency to not see signs, but they're programmed by signs, even though you don't see them. Yeah. It's subliminal messaging. Yeah. So this is working. This is affecting people, and it makes people more materialistic. Oh yeah, that's what it is, because it's still mentioning Christmas. Yeah, it's still mentioning Christ. 2 do go together. You don't think much of it, but then if you read it, you'd be, holy shit, did that really say that? Yeah, so that influence is there as subliminal messaging. And I can go on and on and on. I had to go through this terrible experience of having to be educated. And it was horrible, because that meant I had to go through all the bullshit that people believe in history, or in science, or in anthropology, or even sociology, how people are conditioned to behave in certain ways, or psychology, all these things I had to study, and every single one of them was wrong. They were all wrong. History was wrong. No, that's not who, came here. No, that's not who invented the TV. No, it's not. Everything was wrong. Everything was wrong. So for me, I had spent my first year of beginning study on any given thing, getting through all the things first that were wrong. And then I had to go beyond that. Yeah. So everybody has to move through this thing in a way in which we can come out the other side. Yeah, and most everything that is presented to us is in a state of propaganda. Yeah, even if you go to a movie, yeah, they used to do a whole lot of putting up during intermission they'd pump in the smell of popcorn, yeah, and they'd pump in this and that, and they do the same thing in car dealerships and hotels. You'd walk in, you get the smelling breeze of the ocean, and yet you're not anywhere near the ocean, and and all these different things, and it's psychologically alter people, to be in a certain receptive state, and that way, you can upsell, whatever you want, you can upsell it, because people get emotionally moved by it, and we have no idea that we have these chakras that are in our solar plex, and it's the one chakra that discerns and discriminates. Like when I come across all these gay people, perverts and everything, trying to do something with me, it's my chakra that makes me 100% aware of what's going on. But if you weren't, you'd be in a state of ignorance, and you have a lot of past lives, you have a lot of discernment, discrimination, you have chakras, that immediately, intuitively tells you and gives you experiences of uncomfortableness, nervousness, images of what is really happening here, and then you gotta see through it, you gotta get past it, but you come to realize that you're right, this is a warning, this is discernment. Now I must discriminate, but first I have to discern, and everybody has all these circumstances coming into our lives, but can we discern? We spend all our time discriminating. We don't spend any time discerning, just discriminating. So they play off on this. The subliminal messages. This is not about discernment, it's about discriminating. Do we need Jesus Christ? Are you going to discriminate against Jesus Christ? That was the question. And not, do we need Christmas? Yeah, we need Christmas. But do we need Jesus Christ with Christmas? No. So I'm going to discriminate. Take that out, put this in. Does this make sense? That's what the little mind does. The little mind works like that. The little mind, it's God in the machine. And then propaganda and hate and the Dark Lodge process, they know how to program people. They know how to program people. They know how to do brainwashing. They know subliminal messages. They know psychic intention. They know the misuse of things in order to bring people further and further and further and further away from God. Slowly but surely, absolutely surely away from God, not toward God. Because we can't see anything of all the subliminal messages that are being put out. None of them are moving us toward God. None of them. They all say, be a lesbian, be gay. They don't say, don't be a lesbian, don't be gay, be a saint, love God, worship the Lord, be at peace, love your brother, love your sister, be kind, All those things are overthrown by these other words, by these other actions that are happening as subliminal quality, just like the people dressed in all black. They're all dressed the same for a reason. So subliminally, you will recognize them. Even though it's obvious they are terrorists and they're separate from everybody else and they're doing the only people who's doing the violent things. But in your mind, you take it as this is what the whole thing's about. It's all bad, not good. And you can't really see what's going on. You got to be able to discern and then discriminate, not discriminate first. Because they're setting you up to wear all black, to hit things, to act in a very aggressive way, so you will immediately discriminate. Does that make sense? You immediately not like them. You immediately hate them, because that's what they want. They want you to hate them. That's their only thing. They're not interested in any other thing other than stirring up hate inside of you so that you will become more like them. And then you won't see them. Does that make sense? Because it blurs everything. So let's see. Okay.
Investigates discovered some 2,000 eviction cases are moving forward despite calls to further delay them in court. Jeremy Rogowski says landlords tallied up the unpaid rent due and it's into the millions.
It's a very, very trying time that I'm not used to.
Helena Morgan lost her nurse's assistant job, and soon she could lose her home. The apartment complex where she lives filed this eviction notice demanding $1,600 in back rent. Her court date's 3 weeks away.
How strapped are you?
I probably got $10.
That after she pawned her late mother's jewelry to pay the electric bill.
It's a crisis, it's a fire, you gotta put it out.
2 weeks ago, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo and Mayor Sylvester Turner urged Justice Court judges to postpone eviction hearings until August 24th, in line with the CARES Act timeline for federally backed mortgages.
Right now, we can't afford as a community to have a wave of people thrown out of the streets.
But we found judges are moving ahead anyway. Since the Texas Supreme Court allowed eviction cases to resume, they've ordered more than $600,000 in judgments in nearly 400 cases filed during the shutdown. And more than 2,100 hearings are set in coming weeks, with landlords seeking more than $4 million in unpaid rent.
I have an obligation to process all cases that are filed here in my court.
Judge Sharon.
Now, that's Judge Sharon. There's lots of judges, each one different. Yeah. Some of them more compassionate, empathetic, and have a higher mind, so that they actually become a person who negotiates. He sits with the person who's renting, he sits with the person who's renting out, and he begins negotiating legal terms, yeah? And he helps those people make a decision that works out, yeah? And if they need to make it so that the guy who's paying their mortgage in order to get this rental continuing, yeah, got to do something about that person's mortgage. Something has to be done with their bank. Something has to be done with their lender. And that's done in the court too. Yeah. You know, so there's a welfare negotiation process that goes on when you're evicted, if you go to court. Yeah. If you're with the right court, yeah, if you're with the right judge. This lady feels within herself the responsibility to be a negotiator, yeah. But that's not the only person.
Bernie says as tough as it is, both tenants and landlords have due process rights.
I must be impartial when I'm on the bench to both.
We try to work with them compassionately.
Judge David Patronella says when possible, he tries to get both sides to work together.
We've encouraged parties to defer payments, to accept payments late. In the vast majority of cases, we're getting parties to reach agreements.
But another judge, Larissa Corduba, told us judges cannot and should not be influenced or coerced by other elected officials to betray the oath. Helena Morgan's case wound up in her court.
I think they need to give us time. Give us time to at least get back to work and get a paycheck.
Morgan says she applied for the city's rental assistance program a few weeks ago, but that money dried up in less than 2 hours.
So you can see it all depends on who your hands are in, whose hands. You know, if it's on the right-hand path and it's there to be in service, you know, then you've got a good chance that our system is set up to help you. Yeah, it really is. But if you get stuck on any level with the Dark Lodge process, someone from the Dark Lodge, and you get a judge that's an asshole that is not going to do anything to go out of their way to make it possible for you or the other person to work this out, all that kind of stuff takes a lot of time and energy, a lot of caring, yeah? That lady, the last one we saw, she wants you in, she wants you out, you know? The law's final. You are evicted. Law's final. You know, we don't negotiate. Law's final kind of thing, yeah? You know, so that leaves you When we're in that scenario, it leaves you hopeless. It leaves you in a world as though the world is heartless, as though there is no way of this ever to get worked out. Yeah. But yet, all the other judges, like they said, a large percentage of our cases get worked out. Yeah. People are not suffering because of us. Yeah. They get worked out. But not that one lady, that one judge. Yeah. Yeah. No hope at all when you get in the hands of that one. So it's there. The soul is there. In our time, the way we are right now, we have a great deal of hate left over into the system where people have been, they're in the system. They're judges, they're police officers, they're president, they're in the system. And our system is good. Our system is led by God. It takes so much of constant focus and integration, of discernment and discrimination so consistently to bring these laws into order, into paper, so that we can then go into a courtroom and the lawyer understands what the judge understands and the other lawyer understands the same thing the judge understands, and we can all talk. Yeah? That takes a lot of discernment and discrimination. That's the point where discernment and discrimination is supposed to come together. Yeah? And it's not really where the cop comes in. Cop can't really discern or discriminate. They can't. They have to hold everything at bay, take up as much information as they can, and then get you to the court, where discernment and discrimination supposedly takes place. Yeah? That's the system. That's the way the system's set up. But if we had less propaganda, if we had less signs saying, do we need Christmas and do we need Jesus, less people coming in from Russia, dressing up in all black and beating the shit out of our streets and telling everybody black matters as though it matters to them. Yeah. And it's just causing a riot and bringing up really old wounds, that really have been healed, dramatically. They were healed 20, 30, 40 years ago, in Tulsa when that town was burnt down. Before that town was burnt down, it was healed. The town was whole. The town was complete. But it was that left-hand spin that burnt down the town. That doesn't mean that we don't have good equal rights or anything like that. It just means that we have that shit in the left-hand spin that's still there. And if we don't allow everybody to grow the way that they're meant to be, it's not about black matters or Mexican people or necessary. Yeah. All lives matter. All people matter. Everything matters. Yeah. And we've worked things out. They're not the way they're saying it is. Yeah. So one of the key things is that when that preacher went around and said that he wanted people to believe in God and you'd be better off, you'd be at peace and all of that, and then the aggression that came in, that's a reaction that has to do with discernment discrimination. Yeah. When we don't have the influence that comes with discernment, then we overuse that discrimination and we become highly emotionally based. Yeah. We're more attached to things like this is my house, this is my car, this is my cat, this is my dog, this is mine. Yeah, I own this. Yeah, and those are things we learn as time goes on. We don't have that real reality. We love things. We don't own things. We love things. And if we love things, we take care of those things. We maintain them. We cook for them. We clean for them. We do things that are natural, and those things are natural. We don't have to have laws for those things. But when we have propaganda that says that men are pieces of shit and they're angry and they're violent and they don't have any empathy and they have no compassion, and then we watch commercials to where they fall off ladders and they can't mow a lawn and they're not worthy of eating, a Hostess cupcake or something else the woman's got in the refrigerator. She's eating alone on her own. Little chocolates, little things that she likes that you see in the commercial all the time. Husband goes in, wants to get a nice dessert, says on it, nice dessert, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing," She goes, "Are you eating my cheesecake?" No. And he puts it back. And she's laying in a tub with a cheesecake in hand with candles all around, and he's like just got off work, been working for 18 hours, really sweaty, and all he would like is a little cheesecake, Yeah. But no. And the commercial says he really shouldn't be doing that. There's a difference between you and me. Because the woman is so empathetic and psychic, she knows you're doing it. How does she know that? Holy shit, she must be God or something, And then you've got this guilty conscience going on because you're in the presence of a woman. And you shouldn't have a guilty conscience because you're in the presence of a woman. There shouldn't be that astral projective energy that men are a failure. Yeah? That there's this evil competition that, you just working up your testosterone. And well, so are you. Same old, babe. Yeah, you got just as much testosterone as me. Look at the hair on your arms. Yeah, look at that up there, huh? What are you doing? Why don't you pluck that sucker out? Yeah, there's no difference between men and women when it comes down to that process. But if you hide it and you propagandize it, and you create this thing to where you're not using discrimination, you're just discriminating against men. And then you call yourself a feminist. Why? Because I'm discriminating against men, and I have a right, and I take my bra off and they can't touch my titties. What? That's not right. You said that, And that happened. Yeah. As though we should feel guilty. And all the way through, even if they have their breasts sticking out or anything like that, what kind of man are you to be looking at my breast? Up here. What are you doing? You look up here. Well, excuse me. Praise God, you're right. I feel so guilty. I'm a sinner. Jigga, jigga, jigga. It's the craziest thing you'll ever imagine. Yeah? Yeah. And you got people like the Kardashians and all that stuff, and then you wonder, why are guys perverts? Why are there so many gay men? Yeah? Feminism. Yeah? If you've been beaten down, from the time you get married to the time you have your first date, and then you have to work like hell to keep her. You got to buy her everything she asks for, or she's going to leave you. Yeah? You better make a better job, and you better get a better raise, or she's going to leave you. She'll probably fall in love with your best friend, which usually happens. Yeah? Yeah? It's not a process where men are in any kind of scenario or women are in any kind of scenario. It's an astral plane process where it's all discrimination of no form. Yeah? It's just discriminating. Yeah? Just plain ass discriminating. Same with the guy. He's so, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, feel guilty about that. Then it's an exaggerated state inside the guy. I wonder what it's like. Out comes Playboy, out comes Hustler. Oh my gosh. Is that really what it's like? No. Not at all. Yeah? But no one gets to know that. Because it's just a guilt game. They even make the magazine as though, oh, you're a real pervert if you need to look at this sort of stuff. And yet it's natural. Well, why are we getting married? Why do we have sex? Yeah. Yeah. And the whole process behind men and women isn't about the discernment and then the discrimination. Yeah, because if it was the discernment, it would be the radiating of love between each other. Discerning this beautiful love, yeah? And then you're in action. You're in a state of service, yeah? That's the same if you want to be a doctor or if you want to be anything. You love it, yeah? You're filled with it. You are good at it, yeah? And you radiate love into it. So then you get real good at it. You discern and discriminate, yeah? And it's the same thing in a relationship. If you discern and discriminate, and there's no underlying process of anybody projecting doubt on you, yeah? Making you think that, you know, you're the separate sex. You know, you can't hear me. You know, you don't hear what I'm saying. You know, you can't, you don't feel what a woman feels. You don't know what a woman knows. I guess. I don't know. I'm looking at the same flower. What are you thinking? You know, I'm watching the same movie. What are you thinking? You're just in another body. I mean, we're sitting here in the same place. How are we seeing things differently? You know, you being a girl and all. You know, in reality, there's no difference. The only difference is the glamour aspect. You know, the constant discriminating, even of herself. Comparing herself to another girl, comparing herself to this and that. And then the guys, they go off to do the same thing. They compare themselves to another guy. They compare themselves to an action or an activity. Yeah. And they never discern. No one sits in discernment. You know? And discernment is where love happens. You know, the radiating of love. You know? And it breaks down, you know, a lack of ability, you know, to let go. Yeah. Because if you can discern, and if it's not meant, you know, if it's not really a right relationship, if things aren't right, you know, then you really don't put anything into it to make it something it's not. Yeah. But if you're just discriminating, then you're always putting something into it to make it something it's not. Because you can't discern. You're just discriminating. Yeah. And the jumping to a conclusion is what causes that. Yeah. That lower mind, that astral plane, jumps to a conclusion. And that's the basis that gets us into hate, is the weakness of jumping to conclusions. It's the entrance to hate. Yeah, because we just don't take the time or the energy to learn to discern. And that way we're not just discriminating, yeah, just jumping to a conclusion, but we're actually verifying that this is real. This is real. It takes a little time, but you actually build character. You build a character, yeah? And without going through that process, the character doesn't get built, and you get a caricature instead of a character, yeah? And you turn into this element that can't discern, yeah? So that, then we start looking like everybody else. You know, we start having difficulty being able to tell the difference between people, their voices, their attitudes, their actions, because now they're discriminating, and if they don't play out that what they believe to be their identity, their ideal, then, you know, like everybody loves to wear black, everybody loves to put tattoos on, where's the discernment in that? They're not. They're discriminating, yeah? And that discrimination is just assuming, you know, that this is going to work out. And then 20 or 30 years later, they have all kinds of skin poisoning, and they can't get into certain places to get testing and to receive treatments because they've got this shit all over their body, and they can't get into x-ray, and so many things they can't do now that they've done that. But there's no discernment and discrimination, yeah? Like maybe look up and see if anybody's ever had an illness after doing a tattoo, you know? Or do they use healthy ink, you know? Oh, they use paint? I didn't know that. They use paint? Probably not a good idea. But in order for it to stay, they have to use paint. Yeah? But there's no FDA when it comes down to things like that. So discernment, discrimination is really necessary rather than assuming, you know, that these people who are real good at art actually know what they're doing when it comes down to surgery and putting ink into your skin, which is the biggest organ on your body, you know, that is breathing and assimilating liquids and tasting, and it's doing all that stuff. You put a tattoo on it, you're always going to be sucking off that tattoo for the rest of your life. you'll always taste it. You'll always feel it. Yeah, forever. Yeah, doesn't matter who you are. But there's no discernment discrimination on that level. It's just assume. And if we continue assuming, this could take thousands of years for us to get past the astral plane of people living off of each other, telling each other what they want to do in the lower mind, and then everybody kind of follows along with it through this propaganda. Yeah, because the Kardashians are big ones in their propaganda, so then a lot of people move that way. Wherever fame sits, propaganda is bigger. Yeah, wherever the movie's at, propaganda is bigger. Yeah, so because we don't discern, discriminate, we can be moved by propaganda like that. Yeah. So meditation is the key to release yourself from assuming and not having the ability to discern. Yeah, because meditation clears the brain up at a place to where you can allow your brain to begin refocusing and counteract the programming aspect of the negative mind, the hate, that's permeated into all objects. Here in the monastery, I permeate everything with a whole lot of light. So all the cars and the driveway and the trees and even the air that passes around us is deeply blessed. And that permeates out into all the water, and all the electricity that takes care of Northern California is all being blessed by this place. So that is discernment, discrimination with an understanding of what's going on. But if without that, you'd just be assuming, well, it's powerful, it's a monastery, it's this and that. Yeah. But the discernment, discrimination is what makes it possible for this vibration to carry forth. Yeah. You got to carry it more than assuming it's doing that. You got to get to a place to where you really do know that it's doing that. Yeah. So that's why discernment discrimination plays the biggest part, and meditation plays the part of clearing up the astral plane to dispel the glamour, because everything that I put out, all my words that I put out, are only to counteract the bullshit that you're watching on TV and that you're watching from news and other means of communication. And things that get stuck in the earth. The Church of Satan was in San Francisco, the Black House in San Francisco, the headquarters of Satan. So, and then he died, and his wife still runs the place. That the building's been burnt down. It's just an empty plot right now, but it still has more demons in it than you could ever imagine, and they're permeating all of San Francisco. So as time, and it doesn't happen overnight like in a movie. It takes 20, 30, 40, 50 years for it to permeate into the waterway, permeate into the road, permeate into the buildings, permeate into structures of people who are working there, people who are designed to live a life, but now they choose to live the life in a place that's highly imperiled by evil forces. So it becomes the haven for homosexuality. The haven for homosexuality. And it's also the Church of Satan. And it's a major focus upon putting in peril into the world. Because this is San Francisco, St. Francis. California's St. Francis. We put monasteries, missions, all over the coast of California. I did. All of us saints came to California, built missions, and left saints here to pray. And we did a lot going up and down. And one of the nicest ones was in the San Francisco area. So San Francisco and Sacramento were recognized as being highly gifted in the process of a blessing, from Christ. The hope was to instill into this earth, as people came, more Christians, more people with the blessings of God, and be able to create a good place for people to come and live and have a good America. But it all depended upon the blessings. The missions lived only during the cycle of the missions. After that, they faded out because of monetary and oil and economy and commerce. took over the whole coastline of California. So we don't have hardly any missions. They're just old buildings, and one of them just burnt down recently. It's really bad. So that in it has saints. It has the embodiment of saints. It has the influence of great love, that permeates into California. So if we meditate and if we take advantage of what has been brought here and try and increase that meditation, we'll find that there's a reason why California is the higher-minded consciousness area of America. And it's mainly because the missions, the awakening of higher mind that was done here. It's in the land, but yet darkness is on top of that land too. So if we meditate and we try and do this, and we realize that we really need to get rid of gays in San Francisco, we really do. We really need to get rid of gays. We really do. There's only 4% of them. And it's not a matter of saying you're evil or anything like that. It's a matter of talking to them in a conscious way so that they can better understand that every mannerism and every characteristic that they're doing is a direct path to death. To death. Death of their soul, death of their physical body, death of humanity in relationship to many viruses. Many sexually transmitted viruses come through this group and is passed on to regular people who have sex with gay people, and they don't know that they're having sex with gay people. They're just, bisexual. And it's happening a lot, especially if you have sex with black men. Because black men they're not gay in most cases, but they're more prevalent to have sexual relationships. So by that relationship, they have a link to the bisexual. And when they're having sex, it's likely they're going to have sex with a bisexual. And that bisexual is having sex with a homosexual. And that one is going into anal sex and many other forms of sex that create a breeding into the immune system in humanity that makes us available to not just AIDS, but the coronavirus and everything. If you imagine the coronavirus that we have today, as we take care of this, don't even consider that this is it, that we're done. We're here to learn how to cope with the virus properly. And then once we cope with it, it's going to come back in a different name. And it'll be strong, and it'll be hard, and it'll come in very bad ways. And the only way we can cope with it is through our compassion, discernment, and discrimination. If we behave like this, constantly discriminating, I won't wear a mask, I will wear a mask, I won't be, this crap is killing people. People jumping into 700 people in a crowd when we're supposed to not be doing it, but yet the president goes off with 15,000 people in a crowd, and yet you're supposed to obey the rules? What? How does that work? There is no discernment or discrimination involved there. You have to jump to assume the president's right. And going out in crowds is fine. And not wearing a mask is perfectly okay. You have to assume it. That's what your solar plex will do to you. Or you're stupid. Does that make sense? The lower mind, literally it passed tests because of the stupid, like if they say Columbus explored and discovered America, well, that's wrong. But for you to graduate, you have to say yes. And remain stupid. So you have to follow a life of stupidity in order to get a good grade here. And then you get a president who gets a test for senility. And he thinks it was a test for genius. And he says it was a really hard test. It's a test for senility. I mean, apple, orange, tree. Can you remember apple, orange tree? Yeah. Well, can you say it? Yeah. Well, will you say it? Apple, orange tree. Yay! And that's the way he did it. You know? Yay, what do you think? I did good, yay? Yeah? I did good. I'm really smart. You ever seen anybody do that good? Well, sir, yeah. But most people who come in here are senile. You know, they're only here because they're showing a great deal of signs of senility. So we're only testing how much senility. In your case, actually, you shouldn't be senile. You know, so you shouldn't be acting like this is a good thing, yeah? You know, so let's just say he's stupid. He's probably not senile, but he's really stupid, and he wants everybody to follow his stupid, discriminating mind. Yeah. That's all he wants. And you got to follow it. Yeah. Because everything he says, I'm going to build a tunnel, trust me, he's going to build a tunnel. If he says he's going to build a bridge, trust me, he's going to build a bridge. If he says he's going to build a wall all the way across America. Now, if you think about that, what is the chances of building a wall all the way across America? Have you ever seen that? There's all these high mountains, yeah? And there's these Indian reservations in the middle of it, yeah? All these things that there's a reason why there's not a wall there, yeah? But he wants to put a wall there, which means he has to gather all the way up high, these high mountains, where nobody's going to climb. Nobody's going to try and get over that fence. But he has agreed that this is what he's got to do. Yeah, so you know he's going to lie all the way through it. Yeah, we finished it. It's 2/3 done. It's a quarter done. I think he's got 100 miles. Yeah, and this is like 2,400 miles of wall. You know, and he's got 100 miles, and he's almost done with his 4-year term, and he was supposed to finish it before the end of this 4-year term, and he's only gotten 100 miles, and it fell down. You know, with the wind, it fell over. Yeah, that's really nice. And he says people can't climb over it. People were climbing over it like crazy. No problem. Yeah, yeah, just a little rope ladder and a friend. And you go. You're gone. That's it. It's easier than anything they've ever done before. Thank you very much, Mr. Trump. Yeah, that's discernment discrimination. Yeah, you assume. You assume. And since you're stupid, you're going to assume stupid. And the outcome's going to be that outcome. Not good. And we can continue having outcomes like that. Yeah, but we're not. Yeah, there's a process that's going on that will bring about a major change in how he's doing, what he's doing, why he's doing, yeah, through the influence of meditation. Yeah. It's just a matter of people meditating. So let's meditate. Before we meditate, I don't know if I mentioned it, but last week I had an interview with Who's Who, and they're a group of people of America that have had major achievements like Einstein or Edison and people like that. And out of that, they take about 2% of those people, and then they want to document them, yeah, and put them in the Library of Congress and all the university libraries. So you have a directory of who's who, so that all the people who really do get a lot done, and fulfill quite a bit in life, they're able to find each other, know each other exists. People then know that, in this case, the interview went on for about a half hour, an hour, and I gave a lot of information, and then she's like totally off her rock, she's just wow, little Buddha reincarnated in America. Oh, that's amazing, and then, all the things I said, and all the things I do and all that. About halfway through it, it's about a 2-week thing. You have to wait 2 weeks, and then they'll tell you whether or not you were accepted to get in the thing. But halfway through it, the editor stopped her and said, tell him that he's been accepted. So I didn't have to go through that wait. So right there in the middle of it, I got accepted. And then she got all excited because she goes, do you know what this means? And I said, no, what does it mean? He goes, well, it means right now you may not be famous, but in a couple of months you will be, because every university and every major person in the world is going to know of your existence. And to know that Buddha is reincarnated, and that he's a scientist, and that he's an engineer, and that he works with NASA, and that he builds the electric car and does all these things, and not just a religious leader. That's a overwhelmingly wonderful thing. We really need that. She's just going, you're going to have more phone calls than any person on the planet. And I said, well, I hope so. That would be really great. So that happened. Yeah. And so we're getting this big book that it's all about, that and everybody else that's in Who's Who this year. And then we get a certificate, and then, then it goes out into a big article. They have like a magazine or something like that. That it's a 1-page article goes in there. So this would be the reappearance of Christ, externalization of hierarchy, and everything I told her, will all be in that. So that'll be a new year, very interesting new year. So that's interesting. So I would imagine, she said that she was really into the fact that I give teachings like this. And she goes, well, probably right now you maybe have 100 people watching it, but you're going to have 500,000 to millions and millions of people watching it immediately, by the time, this thing comes out, because it's just, it's just the way it works. Everybody gets that happening. It always comes around like that to these people. And I said, but in your case, it could be 100 times more, than other people. So that would be interesting. Yeah. Good timing. It'll really help the Native Americans and Tibetans, because they could really use, the fact that this is where it's rolling and this is where we're at. And for everybody to kind of jump on at this point in time, it's just perfect. And then we have the virus and the whole bit. I didn't mention that I'll probably go out for president in the next cycle. So. That is I do feel that. It's a weird thing. But my main thing, I have certain rays, and my rays are very monadically, it's the first ray, and nobody has a first ray. Absolutely nobody has a first ray monad. I do, and that's why I'm the way I am. But everybody who wants to be first ray, like a king or something like that, they have to use their personality or their soul ray to do that sort of thing, and it leaves them not in a very good process for humanity, because you need to be a first ray monad to express first ray, because it's a God consciousness ray, so, but yet it is the best ray for a president or the head of a governing body. And I just so happen to have in extreme skills when it comes down to what a president would do, for helping all the people in large ways, building things, doing things, figuring out things. So I just feel that I would probably be the best candidate in America to be the president. So after this thing comes out, You know, a lot of people are going to ask me, what are you going to do with all this ability now that you're famous, you know? And I'm just going to say, vote for me for president. And that's what I'm going to say. And sponsor me and support me in every way you possibly can from this day on until I'm president 4 years from now. So that's my goal. So anyway, funny goal, but I've never not met a goal, so it's going to be really trippy. Okay, so take a deep breath and repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, just relax. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, I'm going to just show one more thing. This is a really cute thing of this young kid singing a. He is he's blind, yeah, and he has I'm not sure autism, yeah. So it's not easy, yeah. But yet he loves singing this particular song. So I'm going to play that for you.
I was asked to introduce Christopher and give a little bit of a timeline on his life, and it's hard to keep my composure talking about Christopher's story. But he was born in May of 2011. 2001. Thank you. He can tell, he can do it better than I can. I have to go back a few years, yeah. And his mother was on drugs, Oxycontin and cocaine, and he was a nephew of ours. And we went down to Florida and took him out of the foster care system in August 2002. And he's been a blessing to our family, and he loves to share his gifts. And this March he was kind of discovered by being a leader in all the local media outlets in Boston. And he's been singing a lot of patriotic songs. But to back up a few years, in 2004, Christopher was on his first mission trip with 8 Days of Hope. I was asked to introduce Christopher and give a little bit of a timeline on his life, and it's hard to keep my composure talking about Christopher's story. But he was born in May of 2011. 2001. Thank you. You can tell him, he can do it better than I can. I have to go back a few years, yeah. And his mother was on drugs, Oxycontin and cocaine. And he was a nephew of ours. And we went down to Florida and took him out of the foster care system in August of 2002. And he's been a blessing to our family. And he loves to share his gifts. And this March, he was kind of discovered by the Union Leader and all the local media outlets in Boston. And he's been singing a lot of patriotic songs. But to back up a few years, in 2004, Christopher was on his first mission trip with 8 Days of Hope. And at 4 years old, he went down to the front of the music ministry, and they handed him a microphone, and he sang the song he's going to sing tonight, Open the Eyes of My Heart.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. to see you.
Yeah, so